Screen now?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay. Okay, so welcome and good afternoon, good evening from wherever you are. My name is Rhoda, and I've been given the opportunity to speak to you all about pregnancy. I want to especially go through the antenatal stage with you all. We know pregnancies, there's a lot of stages in pregnancy. However, I want to specifically focus on that stage with you all today. So the reason why I chose to speak to you all about the antenatal stage is because I think that the antenatal stages is a big part of pregnancy, actually. And I think it's one of the moments that is very enjoyable. Finding out that that you're pregnant, you're about to have a baby, it's very exciting and it's a very happy stage. So just going to educate you all and speak to you all about things to be aware of during the antenatal stage, and if you're thinking about getting pregnant, what you should know. Okay. So, signs of pregnancy. I don't want to indulge in too much depth about how a baby is conceived, but starting from the signs of pregnancy, how does one know that they are pregnant? So these are the signs that us professionals or people in general will identify, and that would classify themselves as, yes, I'm pregnant. So what to look out for? If you've missed your period, that's a sign that you could be pregnant. Nausea and vomiting, which is often known as morning sickness, or a lot of people know it as morning sickness. Breast tenderness and enlargement. All of a sudden your breasts are growing, you have to change your bra size, could be a sign of pregnancy. Fatigue, so tiredness, you're becoming more tired as the day goes along, as the hour goes along. You find yourself napping more often, drifting to sleep more often. That could be a sign of pregnancy. Passing urine more frequently, going to the toilet more often, especially at night. You find yourself that you have to run to the toilet to just to urinate. That could be a sign of pregnancy. Craving for some foods, disliking the foods that you tend to like. That could also be a sign of pregnancy. Mood changes, unexplained crying. 1 minute you're happy, 1 minute you're sad, within a space of 30, 40 minutes, an hour, could be a sign of pregnancy. Vaginal discharge, so you're finding that in your underwear, you're having white, sticky mucus shows, or a heavy more discharge than you're used to. That could be a sign of pregnancy. Constipation, dizziness, all of these are signs, or could be signs, that you're pregnant. However, many of these signs that you've seen, such as missed periods, stress, tiredness, sickness, morning sickness, they all could be a sign of stress instead of pregnancy. So what we say to people is, if you think you're pregnant, one of the key things that you should do is take a pregnancy test, which is also known as a HCC test or EPT test. So within this pregnancy test, what the pregnancy test does is that it looks for a specific hormone that you produce called HCG when you're pregnant, and it detects this hormone in your urine. And this hormone, it can also come up in blood tests and with the pregnancy test when you dip it into the urine. And this is a clear clarification that, yes, you are pregnant when you take this test. And if it indicates that you're pregnant, you are pregnant. So stages of pregnancy and the antenatal period. So just to break it down, pregnancy lasts about 40 weeks, counted from the first day of your last menstrual period. So normal pregnancy should last about 280 days. Broken it down, 9 months, or 40 days to be exact. A normal delivery should take place around 38 to 42 weeks max. And these stages or weeks are grouped into 3 trimesters, which we're going to go and look further into details about. Okay. So the first trimester. What happens in the first trimester? So this trimester is between week 1 to week 12. And we're going to look into the psychological changes that happens to the mother when she is in the first trimester. So in the first trimester, you may experience, or what would happen is that you will have an increased blood supply to the breast and to the uterus. This is all changes, physical changes to the body, telling you to prepare yourself for a baby eventually. That will come soon. Lactation and production of milk. Increased levels of estrogen and progesterone, which are hormones. Changes in the sense of taste and smell. There will be an increase in kidney and bladder size. Your heart will increase. There will be an increase of glucose, water, iron. This is due to the fetus. I'll explain more in that. A decrease in blood pressure and the softening of the joints. Increased mobility where the pubis is. So let's break this down just a little bit so you can kind of understand what's happening. So going back to the increased levels of estrogen and progesterone, which are these hormones that are essential when you're pregnant. So according to a researcher called Bailey, 2020, he said that estrogen and progesterone are essential hormones which are produced by the placenta. So Farai, 2011, who's a scientist who researched into progesterone and estrogen, took this experiment and conducted it on rats. So what he found is when he injected progesterone and estrogen into the rats, they showed that there were a reduced level of depressive behavior. There was a reduced level and responses to fear. So what progesterone and estrogen helps are essential. They are essential. They help calming the woman down. They help with reducing stressful thoughts, depressive behavior. This is because we know that when you're pregnant, you need these hormones, because if you are stressed, if you are worried, it could affect the progression of your pregnancy in a later stage. So going back to the decrease in blood pressure, so the lowering of your blood pressure, which is totally normal. We know that a normal blood pressure lies between 120/80, diastolic and systolic. However, when you're pregnant, this changes. So don't be worried if your blood pressure drops. That's totally normal. The reason why this occurs is that this is a result of basically what happens is that your blood vessels, it dilates, and your body is basically demanding more blood, not just for yourself, but now for the fetus. So now for the baby that you're about to be carrying. So that's normal. So decreased blood pressure is normal. Now, all of these changes that I've just stated, these are all normal and all physical changes to women during pregnancy. So moving forward, the booking appointment. So when you're pregnant, you need to contact the hospital right away so that we midwives are aware. So your first contact with the midwife will be at your booking appointment. So according to NICE Guidelines 2021, a booking appointment should take place around 10 weeks. So this is when you should see a professional, should see your midwife. So this booking appointment can take up to an hour. So you're given an hour slot. And the reason why this appointment is kind of lengthy is because this is your first appointment with your midwife. This is when your midwife is trying to get to know you. She will be recording a lot of information about yourself, which we're going to go through now. So what would happen within this appointment with this midwife is she will record and speak to you about any medical histories that you have. This may be a medical issue of yourself or someone in your family might have, for example, diabetes, sickle cell, spinal differ, so many inherited illnesses. They would want to know. This is the reason why your midwife would want to know, is that so that a secured and personalized plan can be put into place, just in case you might need extra help along the way of your pregnancy due to these conditions. They will ask about your nutrition and diet, making sure you're eating a lot, you're drinking a lot, you're eating the right things. One could ask, what type of foods should we eat? What type of food should we not eat? What a midwife would recommend is that you avoid foods that are not really cooked. So for example, sushi, raw steak, raw egg, certain types of cheeses. And the reason why they will tell you to avoid these foods is because it makes the woman exposed to bacteria, salmonella, and all these infections and diseases that could be passed on through to your baby. They might ask you about drinking, smoking. Do you drink? Do you smoke? They'll talk to you about the pros and the cons. Well, mostly the cons about drinking and smoking and why you should stop when you're pregnant. And so the reason why we tell pregnant women to stop smoking and drinking, especially when they're pregnant, is that evidence has shown that that when you smoke and when you drink for a long time, or even a short amount of time, women tend to end up having smaller babies. And the reason why we think this is because the alcohol and the substances from the cigarettes, it affects the placenta and the placenta function to your baby. They will ask you about exercise. Are you doing exercise? They'll encourage you to keep doing exercise, even if it's just a walk around, keep fit and healthy. Are you going to breastfeed or are you going to bottle feed? They'll talk to you about the pros and cons of both, just to get a general understanding and basis of what you're planning to do when baby arrives. Are you joining any antenatal classes? So these classes, a lot of women have said that they are really, really great, especially for first-time mums. Unfortunately, due to COVID, there aren't many antenatal classes available in a way, and they're not free. This happened due to COVID. However, there are many out there. There are some out there that you can join. However, they get fully booked quickly. So if you're thinking about antenatal classes, make sure you book onto them quickly. They are very helpful. You learn a lot of things within these classes, and you meet other people, other pregnant women, other fathers to be as well. And it's just a really nice social kind of area. Screening tests. Do you need screening tests? Do you need to be put on supplements, iron tablets? And of course, they will always do a blood pressure and urinalysis check with you. They will check your blood pressure and they will also dip your urine. If any problems, they will make the appropriate referral, and they will also check your mental health at every appointment that you see with the midwife. So within this first trimester stage, you'll be offered an ultrasound scan at 11 to 14 weeks. This is to estimate the due date of when your baby should arrive, or when you're expecting your baby. They might also offer you an ultrasound scan at 18 to 21 weeks. This is just to check the physical development of the baby, just to see if baby's okay, and if there's any, and they will be looking at, I think it's 10 to 11 rare conditions as well within this scan that you'll be offered. So as you can tell, there's a lot of things happening within this antenatal stage, and especially this booking appointment, which is only an hour slot with the midwife. Okay, so perinatal mental health. So the reason why a midwife will, at every contact that they have with you, will ask about your mental health is that it's because it's really, really important to know. So according to statistics, according to WHO, the World Health Organization 2022, perinatal mental health is a mental health illness that is present from the beginning of pregnancy all the way up to a year after you've given birth. So according to NHS England, perinatal mental health affects up to 27% of new and expectant mums and covers a wide range of conditions. And if left untreated, the mental health issue can be significant and long-lasting, and it can affect the woman and the child and everyone else in your family. So around 1 in 5 women will experience mental health problems during or after pregnancy. 70% of these women will hide or underplay how serious their illness is, or this illness is. And suicide is the leading cause of direct maternal death within a year of having a baby. So as you can see, the statistics are shocking, and it's true. So this is why a midwife will always ask about your mental health. How are you doing? Do you feel supported at home? Are you happy? Are you sad? Is there anything that they can do? So researcher called Reina et al. 2020 says, worrying in pregnancy is absolutely normal. It's normal to worry, especially if you're a first mum, or if this might be your second baby, third baby, first baby. It's totally normal to worry when you're pregnant. However, too much worrying, too much stress is not good for the baby. It's not good for yourself also. When you're stressed, your body produces adrenaline and cortisol, and these are hormones and feelings that are not good, or well, let's say will affect your pregnancy. They can slowly reduce the progression of your pregnancy within the later stages. And this is why it's important that you're honest with your midwife, and you tell your midwife if there's any problems going on, or if you're feeling down, if you're feeling lonely, if you're not getting the right support at home, that you mention this to your midwife, so that the appropriate referrals or the appropriate things can be done. So following on from this, another shocking statistics that I want to read with you is that domestic abuse affects an estimate of 1.3 million women each year. So around 30% of domestic abuse begins during pregnancy, while 40 to 60% of women experience domestic abuse are abused during pregnancy. So shocking statistics again. So this is why it's important that the midwife, at every contact that they have with you, assesses your mental health, and to see how you're doing, to see if you are being supported by any family members, and that you yourself and baby are fine and safe. Okay. So the fetal development in the first trimester, so between that week again of week 1 and 12, what we would see is that by 4 weeks, all major systems of the organs begin to form, and your baby or your embryo is about 2 millimeters long. So this is the size of a poppy seed. I've got some pictures on the side so you can kind of compare it to. So about 8 weeks, your baby is now around 16 millimeters long, which is the size of a raspberry, still small. And what's happening to your baby is that this all the digestive system, the neurological system, all their organs are beginning to develop, and it continues to develop. So their eyes, their legs, their mouths are still developing. So by 9 to 12 weeks, the external genital organs are developed. Fingernails, toenails will start to appear, fetal movement increases, and yet again, baby's growing, the arms are growing, legs are growing. And so by this stage, your baby is about 5.4 centimeters long from head to bottom, and that's about the size of a plum. Okay, so now that was the first trimester. It's very cramped. There's a lot going on, but yet again, not much going on. Baby's growing, your body's changing, and you'll be seeing your midwife at every contact that you have within them weeks. So now we have entered the second trimester. So these are meetings with your midwife between the weeks of 13 weeks to 27 weeks. And what happens in this week, in this stage, is that by 11 to 14, you'll be offered a dating scan. So this is an ultrasound scan to determine when your baby is due, examine the physical growth of your baby, check for any potential illnesses such as Down syndrome. So this is what happens within that week. Between the weeks of 16 weeks, you'll see a midwife again, and they will review any blood tests that they've done, any screening tests that's been done, and they'll also check your blood pressure and urine again. At 18 weeks to 21 weeks, you might be offered another ultrasound scan. This to check the physical development of baby, and this is also known as the 20. So what this scan does is it will screen for conditions such as HIV, hepatitis, and syphilis. So also within these stages, you would be offered the whooping cough vaccine, and yet again, they will check your blood pressure and urine. So I just want to specifically talk and touch on the whooping cough vaccine. So when you meet your midwife, she will ask if you're up to date with any vaccines. So this will be, she or he will mention the whooping cough vaccine, COVID vaccine, and flu vaccine. So the reason why we stress the importance of making sure that you have the whooping cough vaccine is because a long time ago, babies were dying, and the reason why is that we found out is because of the whooping cough, or the season, or this illness called the whooping cough. So a little bit about the whooping cough is, so young babies with whooping cough are often very unwell, and most of them are admitted to hospital, and they become really, really, really ill. So because of the whooping cough and how severe it is, babies and young children tend to die, unfortunately. So the reason why we offer this vaccine is to so that the pregnant woman can help protect their baby. When they get vaccinated, they obviously they create immunity for the baby. So mum will produce antibodies that will be passed on through the placenta to the baby, so baby is safe and protected and immune from this illness and this disease. COVID vaccines, I think now you can still get your COVID vaccine, depending, obviously it's all the mother's choice, but we do recommend that you do get these vaccines. Flu vaccine, we're just out of the season for flu vaccine, but however, if this was the winter season, we would stress the importance of getting the flu vaccine. So all of these vaccines are recommended for women to take or to get before and up to 32 weeks. If you've passed that kind of gestation, then we would advise you to get these vaccines when after baby's been delivered. So 25 weeks to 26 weeks, what the midwife will do was use a tape measure to measure the size of the uterus, also check your blood pressure and urine, discuss your child's movements, and then they will also tell you to get in touch with the emergency service if you have any worries or notice that your baby is moving less usual. So these are all the contacts that you'll be having with your midwife. So as you can see, you will be seeing your midwife frequently in the community. Okay, so within this gestation also, you would be advised to sleep on your side, well, specifically your left side. And this is because of a vein called the vena cava that travels through the back behind baby. And the reason why we say to sleep on your side is because it just helps with the blood flow. We tend to find that women that sleep on their back, what happens is that because baby's growing, baby's developing really quickly, baby can compress this vein and stop the blood flow to themselves. So this is why within the second trimester, the midwife would advise you to sleep on your side. Reduce fetal movements. Why it's important that we ask about baby's movements. So as a midwife or as a doctor, the only way we can know how baby is doing is by talking to the mum. So as you continue to grow bigger, your uterus grows bigger and baby grows bigger, baby will be moving a lot. So what we ask women is, has your baby developed a pattern of movements? Is your baby more active in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening, in the night? We tend to find that babies are very, very active in the night. Babies can be active in the day, in the morning. And the reason why we ask this is because a reduced movement or absence, so if you can't feel baby move, is a serious red flag in the sense that you need to tell someone, you really need to call triage. So a reduced movement or absence movement can mean stillbirth, death. It just could mean there's a big problem. There's a problem that's happening. There's something that's not right. So it's important that you get to know your baby's movements when they're active. If it's during the morning, you know that baby's moving. So if your baby is very active at night and in the morning, make sure you're constantly aware and checking that, yes, you can feel your baby move. So if you was to come into your appointment with your midwife and you tell your midwife, I've not really felt baby move today. Well, my baby's usually very active in the morning and night, but baby didn't really move in the morning. But it's okay because I felt baby move in the night. No. As soon as you feel like baby is not moving and you know your baby's pattern and you know that, let's say your baby moves in the morning and in the night and baby doesn't move in the morning, you've got to call triage. You've got to call triage straight away so that we can check yourself and check baby. Okay. So this is what we do. This is what the midwife does when she measures your uterus from the outside with a tape measure. So she will palpate. So she'll put her hands around your stomach, use the tape measure to measure the top of the from the fundus to the bottom, and she will plot it on a graph. So this is what happens when the midwife measures your bump. And she will do this at every contact within the second trimester. So this is just another diagram to show you the different stages of pregnancy. So where the baby should be up to by how many weeks, or how many weeks. So by 12 weeks, we can see where baby should, or where the uterus will be. By 30 weeks, we can see where baby should be, in a sense, how big baby should be, or where baby should be, all the way up to 36, 40 weeks, and so on. Okay. So the fetal development in the second trimester. So this is weeks of 13 weeks to 27 weeks. So what happens? So by 16 weeks, your baby is around 11.6 centimeters long from head to bottom. So this is the size of an avocado. So what's happening in this stage? So this placentas continue to circulate blood through the fetus, supplying it with nutrients, oxygen, hormones, and getting rid of bad waste. By 18 weeks, your baby's around 14.2 centimeters long from head to bottom. That's approximately the size of a bell pepper. Baby's moving around more. And this movement is usually described to women like a bubbling or fluttering inside your belly feeling. By 26 weeks, your baby's around 35.6 centimeters long. This is the size of a cucumber. And you might feel more tired at this stage and a bit more clumsy and uncoordinated. This is because baby's growing rapidly, taking all the blood and nutrients from you. So you are paying the consequences by feeling more tired and clumsy. So the midwife would also tell you the importance, and she will stress about the importance of bonding with the baby. So why is it important to bond with your unborn baby? And how can you bond with your baby who's still in your stomach? So evidence shows that your baby can hear from at least 16 weeks and perhaps a little bit more earlier. So babies hear their mother's voice most clearly, and this helps your baby to get to know your voice and get to know other people's voices who come in contact with you, which helps them feel safe and secure. This also can help tune their hearing and get ready for when they eventually talk, later on. Talking and singing to your baby is also good for their development. So the midwife will tell you to speak to your baby whenever you're sitting down, wherever you're lying down, just a little rub of the stomach. Hi, baby, good morning, baby. Good afternoon, baby. Talking to your baby, rubbing the baby, just letting them know, letting them hear your voice. And it's creating that bond, that attachment. So infants depend heavily on parents when they're born. So in the first 2 years of life, they go through a significant brain growth. Infants' social, emotional, and cognitive growth, it's all influenced by the quality of attachment that they have and the bond that they have with their primary caregiver, which is basically their parents. So studies have shown that neglect, inconsistent parenting, and lack of love can result to a long-term mental health illness, as well as the decreased potential to be happy in general. So Bowlby, which we all probably might be aware of, Bowlby, scientists, experimentalists, looked into attachment styles, which you can see on the left-hand side. And he looked into these 4 main attachments, or what his studies showed that there was 4 main attachments: the secure attachment, anxious attachment, avoidant attachment, and fearful attachment. He said that children are biologically pre-programmed, so they are already made pre-programmed to form an attachment with others, and this helps them survive. So as we can see from the poster to the side, the 4 different attachments. I'm sure we can see the more better attachments compared to the others. And this is why your midwife will tell you to form this attachment from early, when baby is still growing inside you, to create that safe, secure bond with yourself and baby. And also with your partner. Get your partner or your husband to speak to baby as well. It helps baby recognize your husband's voice as well, and just helps with that growth development. So preeclampsia. So as I mentioned before about how the midwife will always check your blood pressure and check your urine. The reason why is we're detecting for a condition called preeclampsia. Okay. So this is a condition that affects some women, usually tends to be more visible, let's say, around the 2nd stage of pregnancy, so from 20 weeks going on. So early signs of preeclampsia include high blood pressure, so hypertension, and protein in your urine. So this is why we test your urine and check your blood pressure at every contact that you have with the midwife or the doctor. So these signs you should tell your midwife, or should be picked up by your midwife. And let's say if you're doing your blood pressure at home, you should let your midwife know. So symptoms, how to spot preeclampsia. So it's associated with a severe headache, vision problems. So you might experience a blur, spotting in your eyes, itching in the palms of your hands and your feet, and a sudden swelling in the face, ankles, and feet. So these are the signs to look out for. These are signs of preeclampsia. So who is affected? Everyone is affected, but you are more at risk if you have diabetes, high blood pressure already, any kidney diseases before pregnancy, or if you have a high BMI of 35 or more, if you're 40 years plus, or if you have a history of preeclampsia already. So the real cause of preeclampsia is not known. It's not known. However, researchers think that it's something to do with the placenta and the supply of blood from mother to baby. So something is happening within that stage that's causing preeclampsia. So treatment for preeclampsia. The only treatment, or let's say to cure a woman from preeclampsia, or if someone has preeclampsia, it's really bad preeclampsia, what the midwife or the doctor will suggest is to deliver baby. This will be offered around 37 to 38 weeks. This is seen to be the safest gestation to deliver baby if you have really severe preeclampsia. So this might be, they might offer to induce you, offer C-section, or could give you medication to lower your blood pressure. But that's the only cure for preeclampsia so far that we know that will help. So once baby is out, there's no more preeclampsia. So it's important that if you experience any of these symptoms, you must tell the midwife. The midwife will check anyway by doing your blood pressure and checking your urine. However, preeclampsia is a very serious condition that should be spotted. So a high blood pressure will be classed as 140/90. So if your blood pressure is reading between those digits, it's a red flag and a warning sign for preeclampsia, especially if you're getting it more than once. And what the midwife will do is she or he will invite you in, and you will undertake a blood pressure profile. So they'll check your blood pressure for a certain amount of time. Maybe speak to the doctor as well, especially if the blood pressure is not settling. And if you have pluses in your urine, if your urine comes with a positive test, and which shows that you have protein in there, then they can also speak to you about what can happen next and what treatment could be done. So third trimester, a meeting with the midwife. So this is from the weeks of 28 weeks to 40 weeks. So between 28 weeks, 31, 34 is kind of the same. So I've put it together. So you see your midwife within these weeks, and what she will do, or he will do, is perform a blood pressure check, urinalysis, as we know, tape measure to measure the size of the uterus, discuss how to prepare yourself for labor and birth, talk about active labor, discuss what happens after the birth, including how to care for your baby and feed them, tell you about the vitamin K injection that your baby is recommended to have, and ask you about movements, and also go through a care plan, a birth plan with you. So the midwife will educate you about how to recognize when you're in labor. So early labor, or the latent phase, is known as when you do not have regular or constant, you're not experiencing regular or constant contractions, painful contractions, compared to active labor, when the contractions are more strong and more frequent. This is because you're contracting you're contracting when you're in active labor, you're contracting a bit more so that the cervix can dilate to open and thin out. Obviously, this is a sign to show that body's ready for baby to come out. So she or he will educate you on the signs and how to know when you're in labor or when you're not in labor. They'll go through a care plan, a birth plan with you. So this birth plan is technically your recommendations on what you want to happen when you give birth, when you go to the hospital, when you give birth. So they'll talk to you about things to prepare for, what to pack when you come into hospital. And this is your chance to tell the midwife what you want to happen when you are in. So 36 weeks, they will offer you an external cephalic version. So if your baby's breached at this point, so laying diagonal across and not head down, so which is breech position, they might offer you an ECV, which I'll explain in a little bit. By 38 to 40 weeks, your midwife or your doctor will discuss the options and choices about what happens if your pregnancy lasts longer than 41 weeks. So going back, let me track into the vitamin K. So why do we recommend the vitamin K injections to women? So many years ago, we found that babies were experiencing hemorrhages. So they were experiencing a lot of blood loss. And what happened is that they found that there's some babies that do not, or let's say are not born with the ability to clot their blood. So when you cut, for example, let's say if I cut my finger, my body knows that I've injured myself, and it knows to clot it and to stop the bleeding. However, they found out that some babies were not born with this ability. And this is why we offer, or we recommend, that women, when they deliver, to go for the vitamin K injection. However, I will say it is a recommendation. We do advise for it. However, you as the mother have the choice to go for it or not to, but it is recommended. This is in case that baby grows up, let's say bangs themselves, hits themselves, they will bleed uncontrollably, and because they've not got that clotting factor. Not to say that your baby will experience that. We don't know what babies do not have this ability to clot their blood. So this is why we just offer the injection to all babies, and we tell all women about the vitamin K injection. So the ECV, going back to the ECV, so what would happen is, if you go ahead for this ECV procedure to be done, let's say your baby is breached, still at 36 weeks, 38 weeks, what would happen is you would be invited to come into the hospital. And this is a procedure that the doctor does. So I've seen an ECV been done. It's kind of brutal, but it gets the job done. So what happens is they'll pop you on a monitor, check baby's heart rate, check you over, lay you down. And what the doctor does is he or she will manually move baby from the outside. So putting their hands on your stomach, moving baby from the outside. Sounds brutal, can be shouldn't be painful, but, well, shouldn't be painful, but can be, it's not very comfortable, let's just say. And the doctor will offer this to you if you would like to go ahead with it. Many doctors have successful rates. When they do that, baby does end up staying in the head down position, but there is a percentage and a chance baby can turn around back to a breech position, just to let you know. But the midwife will just, during this antenatal stage, they will not tell you much about it until let's say this happens, but they will let you know and make you aware of these kind of things that could happen. And then again, 38 to 40 weeks, if you're approaching that gestation, your midwife or your doctor will discuss options about what happens next, and if your pregnancy lasts longer than 41 weeks. So the fetal development in the third trimester, so the 28 weeks to 40 weeks period. So by 28 weeks, your baby or fetus is around 37.6 centimeters long. This is the size of an aubergine. You may experience heartburn, indigestion, because your baby's growing and hormones affecting the digestive system, which is normal. 32 weeks, your baby is around 42.4 centimeters long, which is the length of a bunch of celery. So the bump is getting bigger. You may be experiencing that when you walk, you're waddling, which is fine, but baby's growing, it's expected. 36 weeks, your baby or fetus is about 47.4 centimeters from head to toe. That's the size of a romaine lettuce, basically. It's a really big lettuce. Hopefully baby is in the cephalic position, which is head down, and getting ready for delivery and birth. So by 40 weeks, your baby or fetus is about 51.2 centimeters long from head to toe, and this is approximately the size of a pumpkin. So you may experience painless contractions, not just from this stage, but it could be from 32 weeks, 36 weeks, 34 weeks, 40 weeks, and this is called Braxton Hicks. So when your contractions last, however, if your contractions last longer than 60 seconds and come every 5 minutes, you should call the hospital. You might be in labor. So ways to cope with pain in the antenatal stage. A lot of women have voiced that they meditate. So praying, having that calm time to yourself, walking, massaging your stomach, changing position. You might be sitting for too long, you might want to stand. Get some relief and pain off from your back and from your bum. Taking a warm shower bath has helped a lot of women with pain. Listening to music, and let's say just distracting yourself. And also it's safe to take paracetamol in pregnancy. Take paracetamol. So these are ways to relieve pain in the antenatal stage as baby is growing bigger, and as you're getting closer to that stage of delivery. These are ways, and the only ways, to relieve pain in the antenatal stage. I just want to touch on the Embrace report. So Embrace report, so there's a lot of reports that are circling, that are there for you, that you can read, but I want to specifically talk about ethnic minority women, Black, Asian women, and the healthcare system. So this diagram on the right side is a report that was reported in between the years of 2009 and 2021. And this shows mortality rates in the different ethnic groups in England. So Embrace Saving Lives, Improving Mothers' Care department conducted a study that showed that maternal mortality rates were found to be more than 4 times higher for Black women, 2 times higher for mixed ethnic women, and almost twice as higher for Asian women. So the themes that were spotted or found within this report was that it included that they've seen that there were women were experiencing that they were not feeling safe. They were having worries and concerns because they were being ignored by professionals. Professionals were not given painkillers because of racial stereotypes. I'm sure you've heard the stereotype about, people or Black women or colored women, they don't really experience pain compared to other women. And it's sad, but it does happen. A lot of microaggressions, and that has caused a lot of harm. So basically, colored women were being treated unfairly in the health system, not given painkillers on time. They were not being listened to. And these are the statistics, as you can see on the right side. So the reason why I'm saying this is because of the reports such as Embrace, it's changed the whole healthcare system a lot. Professionals now have learned that to treat individuals with respect, kindness, no matter what background they're from. And also, it just goes to show that as women, whenever you feel like, because at the end of the day, you know your body. Whenever you feel like something is wrong, you're in pain, and it's not like the pain that you had yesterday, you should say something and stand for it. But the health system has become way much better, and some may argue, some may agree, but has become made a lot better in regards to reducing racial stereotypes and treating Black and Asian women wrongfully. So as I'm coming to the ending of my presentation, what are the warning signs to look out for in the antenatal stage? So if you're pregnant, think about getting pregnant. During the antenatal stage, what are the signs that you should look out for? What are the signs that you should look out for in order to say, nope, this is not right, and I should get help? A headache that won't go away or gets worse over time. Dizziness or fainting. Even though dizziness is normal in pregnancy, however, if you feel like you're getting to the point where you can just faint and drop onto the floor, that's concerning. Changes in your vision, as we said about preeclampsia, we said that preeclampsia, a sign of it is changing in vision, spots, you're seeing dark spots, your vision is not as clear. If you have a fever of 38 or higher, extreme swellingness to the hands and feet and face, as we said. Thoughts about harming yourself and harming your baby. Trouble breathing, chest pains, or fast beating heart. If you have chest pains or fast beating heart, that's a different, you call and you go to A&E instead of going to triage and the maternity department. If you're having heavy bleeding, so you're soaking through 1 or more pads in an hour, if you're passing clots, blood clots, big as the size of a 50p coin, you should run to triage, come to triage. These are warning signs that you should look out for and to show that something is wrong. If you experience any of these any of these signs and symptoms, make sure you come to triage straight away. Don't wait a day, an hour, or longer on it. Make sure you get checked so that the professionals and everyone can see and check you over and make sure that you are okay and that baby is okay. And thanks for listening. Thanks for listening.
That in your bano as a with it, a church and Yamamu, Amayat, Nema Sepa, minim sense and for and send me Saba, whom you be what haunted some ray, the beja a pluna to her. Now, of your was and Miss Abia bit to me, a day is a catabia back and be in your naughty tree. Can I neck any dainty now? Where do we anchor until car or Betty Assie into Miss Remo, Sass and Miss Abia or her, who to me at the back.
Any questions? Okay. I hope the presentation was useful and that everyone got some tips and things to learn from. Just making sure, you know, you look after yourself, look after your baby, look after everyone around you. And yeah.
Summary, as there are no questions, it means what church I did in Mama Yatia say ye. Into them say questions in them manner. And I believe say, so be was and be said, be a papa no me in your man manner. Yamuti too pan because a bad card they are not a man pimping near for me a continent and this time could be. A man I am my end time con. So be was and be said, be a ban member. This is our near and some
question.
Me patron maninko.
Yeah, Roda that's na a embrace no say obi a pregnant na ofili say or you discriminated that the rights anything.
Okay.
It does.
Thank you so much for that question. So the answer to the question is, if you feel like you're being discriminated against, you feel like you're not being listened to, not being heard, there are systems in place depending on your hospital. So different hospitals have different ways of raising a complaint. So for example, in my hospital, in our trust, you go to PALS. And this is then escalated to, let's say, the ward manager, the people who are coordinating the place, to see if they can handle things. However, let's say you've made a complaint. So let's say let's backtrack. So if you've got a complaint, firstly, you would voice it to the person. If that's not going anywhere, voice it to someone higher. So a senior midwife, senior person in charge manager, or like I said, you can go to PALS, or let's say if that's in my trust, we go to PALS, which is it's an online electronic way of making a complaint, and it gets dealt with pretty urgently, to be fair. If that doesn't work, there are ways and systems in which you can escalate it higher to external institutions. Hopefully it doesn't have to get to that stage, but you do have the right to make a complaint. If you feel like you're unsafe, feel like you're not being listened to, feel like there's any type of risk, you have the right to make a complaint. Yeah, so there are systems in place. And if you want to make a complaint, the midwife, and if you tell the midwife you have the right, and the midwife is obliged to tell you how to make a complaint. So if you do not know how to make a complaint, the professionals, the staff, they have to tell you how and in what way you can go into to make a complaint. I hope that's answered your question.
Yeah, thank you.
Any more questions?
I'm a nurse. Me pacho, me one question. I mean, sure, fire that was it. Me question is say, I didn't say, Obanyamwa, that's a problem. Doctors need to make us say, Akolano, Obeya Yarefo, and I say, Akolano, Ebe how, it is said, yeah, about the baby out. It is when you am running one more and pemswa, naturally say, one more ye Akolano at Tuago. I have a pie with UK panty, me patch also be to me a church mukakra. Amania. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for the question. So backtracking back into my presentation. So when you are pregnant and you see your midwife, let's say 16 weeks, 18 weeks, 20 weeks, however many weeks, there is a period of time when you are offered a scan. So you are offered a scan around, there's a scan around 16 weeks and 20 weeks.
Yeah.
So what these weeks, so the 16 weeks one is a scan where they can scan to see if your baby has a condition called Down syndrome, which I'm sure you've probably seen. I'm not sure if you've seen someone who has Down syndrome, but they have specific like features of their face and genetic problems. So they can see through these scans and test if, let's say, your baby has developed these conditions. And also at 20 weeks, you're offered a scan as well. And this scan detects if, let's say, your baby will have birth defects. Let's say, for example, a missing arm, will be born without one arm or one leg. So there are ways in detecting to see if there's a problem. So what I've seen personally is that if this is the case, the doctor, it has to be a doctor who will have to speak to you. The doctor will speak to you about not the pros and the cons with going with the pregnancy, but this is what they found. Are you happy to go along with it? However, there are cases in which the doctor will say that, you know, because of your safety, because of the baby, let's say baby's born and doesn't have a good chance of living, or, you know, they might offer you to, you know, let's say abort the baby. But it depends. This is why all of these scans and procedures are done, let's say at 16 weeks and 20 weeks before baby is grown to a point where nothing can be done. Because there are people out there that, let's say I know it's sad to say, but there are people out there that won't go along with the pregnancy, but that's their choice, because they don't want, first of all, to, let's say, put pressure on themselves. Let's say if they have a child who has a disability, they don't want to go through that stress, or they know said that when the baby is born, they're not going to have a good quality chance of living. But there are people that still go out there and have a baby, knowing that, you know, they might have Down syndrome or something of the sort. So it's really depending on yourself and the conversation with the doctor. But there's many ways to go about it. Someone might say, this is my body, this is my baby, and I'm not going to abort it. I want to go ahead with everything. They'll be supported. However, if the doctor feels like there might be a chance that it will affect your quality of life, maybe when it comes to delivery, something might happen that will, you know, something might go wrong and it will put your life at risk and the baby's life at risk. Or if baby doesn't have a good quality chance of living and surviving, then they can offer these kind of such a things. I hope that's helped answer your question.
May I come in a bit? I want to add a little bit to what our sister. Mama, me person me deke to be can be a sister no e kan ye no ho. Sometimes deformities need to ho no ma ya na omo ho a. E ya na sebi akra na oda ye mo no enhyeda nye menka nipa. There was be where we call anankafale. Sa and no akrani tini ya na ayete se apotroti oni mama ne ade na ni tuatua na pampa mehu bi sa pen wo Ghana baby ana me wo no and usually sankra bi sa no oba on to mean tena simple and at the how be brown no say ye hu ne ntema omutumi offer say ye nyim free hono mo preku because enya ade kra na ono no be survive. Apart from the Down syndrome, ne ade na omo de nyame adom omutumi survive no. This is one example of typical situation aya na ade na eda eyam no sebe aya na enye nipa mpo ye say nyame akyede se obenyin se na obawo abofra but boni wi asimu no eniema bebre esi enti memfa ba akupe we ya enye mfa to ho se emrenti enu na ya na omutumi offer sa kind of but se o de ho na se o feel se ompa enye by force se ye be yinti ompe me situation ya make abofra no na ne how ne ye bebre but Ghana de on say ye time on fa sa ne man especially hospital nketu mu no yetumi hwa ama wo ko wani ma wo na obi o ho ma wo ye na akra na we free and I say ebe take be 2 days na akra na we free ebi wo hompa omo ankasa kra hwa akra na o say akra we de mutu ba mintumi mfa ne nkofi Ghana sa na ya no nti eno no na nimde ados na ya no mu hu o nyinsem mu no e ma omo kase se na etie we de ma ye nyin tontwene ma me pam cho me da ase.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, and that's what it is in a nutshell. So you always have the right, you as a woman, you have the right to make any decisions as well. Any other questions?
Nepacho sasa misebia ni kwa ya ebeka se Nyankopon hwa se emre ne company fon fan cheyen na eya adisia ye nyina yenya adisia ho kese efrim na yenim se asembisa bia nso ba etwa yen sister ene afofra aka nyina wo into midwifery no omo wo hɔ a omo beyi ya no Nyankopon hwa no mbie wadwen mu no ma onyansa adom nti amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Okay. Ebejai ha ama Bible nso so na ya to aso nti me hwama ye nyina yen to aso na yenye Bible lesson na me hwama.
Okay. But the bet was so over Sunday by most days. But you're not to test for few seconds.
Actual communication for some mobile to me and come on my and my bra yeah chairman do obey na aya homboa. Everybody who came to visit us, who came to participate. God bless you all. We see you every Sunday as we continue our Health and Rich program.
Okay. That's we thank everyone for joining, and God bless you, Sister Rhoda, for the presentation you have just given us. I mentioned Unyaba Rhoda. I will asema near the start of my power pregnancy and said shepa. But you're not a brave chassis, but was so. I was the sooner you soon with the young man or this woman. And then so the best bet was so a new back on 21. But as a best chassis and a vampire as a Benetia and Cosso. But your mumpire. Yenaja was straw, but that was a quenya use. But your brass was set by what church or yen. The song chain answer. In Shanka Odin said, was said, Secobinian son, almost our separate. The song chain answer, oh, chain what is training. So I just said, treachery. Maya Kuma, where I need you to was some eddy. No, says Yam or straw, wash out of my end. You would do this over here, since it's son are doing now, Christo, yes, you can tea. Amen. That's your, everyone said, everyone a coca crantino. You bet a kai, the sooner, every abin pondi and him, I will a 3 year at you. To Miss say, yeah, was no. Rebecca can not a boy and